We're live.
All right, good afternoon to everyone. Welcome to the Bogata City Council meeting, November 30th, 2025. Glad that you're part of this meeting. We'll have a roll call. Call the meeting to order. Dakota? Chris? Here. Teresa?
Here.
Melissa?
Here.
Tex? Absent and supporting the band guys, and it'll be good tomorrow. All right, we do have a quorum represented. Let's stand and do our pledge. Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, as we come to you this evening, we give you the praise and thanks for the blessings that you bestowed upon us. We ask, Lord, now as we take time to speak of the business for the city, we ask your wisdom and direction and guidance. And Lord, may we honor you by just being who you've designed us to be. Thank you, Lord, for all the things that you have done. We will continue to give you the praise in it all because we love you. We ask in the name of Jesus our Lord. Amen.
The slip I had's not related to the item on the agenda.
Well, if it's not on the agenda, you're going to speak about this, other comments?
No, I'm still want to reserve my time for the Bogata Trade Days, but what I want to speak about has something to do with something else. The 3 minutes that we're allowed at the beginning of
You
public
can do that
comment.
during this public comments if you'd like.
Yes, please, thank you. I just wanted to make sure I reserved my other 3 minutes for the trade days. Okay, we found out in the last meeting for the Crime Control Board that they were bonded. My first question would be I want to know, was the city council and the mayor bonded when all of this financial trouble happened? Are y'all currently bonded? Which, honestly, I guess I can't get an answer on if you're bonded, but I know that we put in a claim on the Crime Control Board at $5,000 each seat, so that's $30,000 that can be recovered from the funds that were misallocated, or however you want to call it, from the Crime Control Board. My question is, with the money that's been misallocated and used for things that, in ways that are a little questionable, if our city council or our mayor are bonded, which honestly I feel, like I said last meeting, I feel this resides solely with you, sir, because you are the leader of this city as the financial officer. I feel like it's only right, if you are bonded, that you do put in your resignation so that the volunteer fire department can put a claim in on that bond, because I do feel like their money was taken in a very bad way. But I'm not a legal expert, but I do believe that a claim, if not through bonding, should be filed through TML. I've also had other citizens say to me that if you were to step down, that would make Tex Lofton the mayor, and they don't want that. I understand there's personality conflicts, but this city is so in disarray right now that I pulled this off of TML today. Right now, Dakota Ross is listed as the pro tem. We still have Tisha Miles on here as the secretary. So if y'all are so worried about Tex being mayor, then Larry can step down and Dakota can be mayor. I know you might not want it, but here you go, Mr. Hamilton.
Thank you.
That's the current TML listings. Now, going back to the Paris News from May 10th of 2021, I did a little research. Kim Cox of the Paris News did an interview with you where you were going over the IRS issues from before, back when Jennifer Boyd was moved to full-time and agreed to be city secretary. Former Councilwoman Glenda Martin asked
Your time is up.
Oh, is it?
Thank you, yes, ma'am.
Okay, not a problem, Mayor. I'm used to you cutting me off, so I would just ask you to stand by your words. If you're ready to prosecute other people, you need to be able to prosecute yourself.
Thank you for your information.
Mm-hmm.
All right, anyone else want to speak for the public comment section? All right, we'll move on to item number 5. City council comments. We have comments or information from the city council.
I have a question. Since the Christmas parade is coming up,
unless the council or our volunteers want to do something, about, putting a float into the thing. We've done very well over the past several years as far as the float participation. And so it's nobody has really said anything that they wanted to, do that or continue that process. But I'm happy to assist anybody that decides they want, they want to enter a float on behalf of the city. All right. Any other comments? Item 6, consent agenda. We have some reports and information in your packet related to the consent items. Did we have a financial statement? I didn't get one.
I thought I wanted everybody's,
This? No. Thank you.
Bobby, I have a question. On this general fund, this one here, on the second page, for October the 17th, there is a withdrawal to Elizabeth Ham sale. What is that?
Elizabeth Ham, she's our CPA that's working on getting things straight for our audit.
Okay. And then on the next page, on 1014, there is a transfer to account number 268. Do you know what account that is? I couldn't find it in anything I had.
Is it for $198?
Yes.
That it goes directly into the fire department's account. That's the fire department's account, and that's, I believe that's on the agenda that asked when that started and what it's
Yes.
for.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
For those of us that don't have a financial report, when the mayor would read the financial report, so we'd have some idea of where we stand.
Well, I suppose I can, but the person that's responsible for the financial report is the city secretary. She can read it to be all right.
Okay, fine. We just need some reasons, I guess, you paraphrase, give us some cliff notes.
They won't let me do much of anything anymore, so.
That's a good reason.
There you go.
Let the city secretary do her job.
No, I just need a copy of the bank statement so I can kind of tell them how much money we've got. The only two accounts that we've been spending any money out of is the water account and the general fund, so those are the only two that I printed. Right now, I did pay some bills this morning. These were made up first thing this morning before I paid any bills. It looks like the general account, after I paid bills, probably has a couple of $1,000s in it after this afternoon because I paid several bills, just monthly bills. And then the water fund, account has, I paid a few bills out of it. It had $16,392.01, and I probably paid a couple of $1,000s worth of bills out of it today. So we're sitting about $14,000 in the water department fund, and a couple of $1,000s in the general fund after paying part of the bills. And I've whittled the bills down to, for the general account, to around $28,262.63 is what we still owe out of the general fund. And then the police department fund, that's not counting the police department, we still owe, I believe, a little over, around $28,000 that we owe police department bills that I haven't paid yet.
Look at some around
I've just
here.
been putting them off to the side, and trying to cancel as much as I can on them.
So we're still in arrears then?
Yes, we're still in the rears. I did look at last year's bank statements for November, and if we can get the amount of taxes in for November this year that we got last year, then we should be able to get caught up if we don't have too many more large bills come in. But by being the first of the year, I don't know how many yearly bills will be coming in, that are $13,000 to $15,000 or more for a yearly, like our insurance right now. We owe insurance, and it's a quite large bill for the year. It's around $14,000. So,
Any other questions?
As a point of legality, can we ask back to the bonding question, or would that be coming? No? Okay. I just didn't know because it was said in the other meeting.
Other questions? All right, move on to item number 7, new business. Discuss and take action on all these following things we've been talking about. Number 1 is approval of the previous minutes.
I have one correction on the minutes.
okay, let me find them.
Okay. Under item number 12, we're talking about, Evan was talking about the water stuff. Did you find it?
No, but I'm just going to write it down here because it'll take.
It's talking about, I had asked, I made a statement, and then Evan replies back, but it doesn't state that it's Evan replying back. It
Okay.
makes it sound like I'm continuing. So we just need to correct that. That was Evan speaking, not me. Don't ask me with his stuff.
I'll get that corrected.
Thank you.
All right, any questions related to the previous minutes? Comments? I will entertain a motion for the approval of those minutes.
They need to be corrected before we make a motion.
I think the motion can include the correction, I think, if that's.
Yes, you can do approve as corrected.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes as corrected at this meeting. I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as corrected. Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. We have 2 ayes, 2 abstentions.
Did y'all vote?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I think they did.
I'm sorry. So we have 4 ayes. Yeah, speak up a little bit, please.
Can I ask that either of those sign minutes be sent to the bank, or copy of them ready for me to pick up to take to the bank to get the money transferred that was released to the fire department from the CDs?
On the minutes?
Yes.
Sure, I think that's probably, we can do that. Item 2, pay any trade days.
On the trade days, I don't know how much good it'll do talking about it right now. But I know that everybody's hurting very badly. When the whole trade days idea came about, it was the Lots of Love Market, and we helped a lot of people. We're going to be having a fall festival over at Bogata Community Church next weekend. Anybody that's trying to earn a little extra money is more than welcome to come and set up next weekend. I put before this committee for the last 2 years the Bogata Trade Days, the idea of us setting up. I've been told that by the mayor that people don't want to come to something that I've set up because of who I'm married to. I've been told by the mayor that you don't feel that, it would be in the best interest of the city for me to lead anything, correct?
That's what people have told me, yes.
Okay. So, even so far as to bring water to whenever we had the freeze, and I brought water up to City Hall, because of course Dawn and I are not welcome at the community center. So I was told I could bring water for the city people. All I've ever tried to do is help people. That's all I'm going to continue to try to do. But I'm tired of these people told me that, because I've been hearing that these people told me that. Like I've heard these people said that Dakota Ross attacked you at the last executive session, and he did not. Everybody that was outside could hear you both screaming at each other. So it's time for this disinformation to end. I would like to say that I would like to speak to the Bogata Trade Days at the next city council meeting, if one of y'all would be willing to bring it forward. But I think the city has more pressing matters right now when they have a mayor that's willing to threaten their citizens. I'm sorry, but I didn't have an agenda with you. But apparently you don't care very much for me. And I will not be intimidated. I did not appreciate being approached in the kitchen by your mom last city council meeting. And
My mom's been dead for a lot of years.
I'm sorry. I thought that was...
You need to watch what you're saying.
Well, I thought
You are out of line.
I thought
You're
that...
out of
Well,
line.
then who is this lady
You are
that I thought...
out of line
Okay, but
and out of order. Speak about the trade days or sit down.
Okay. All righty. So I was not approached by your mother, but I was approached...
That's right. I don't appreciate that. You need to get your information straight.
Well, whatever your name is, ma'am, you approached me in the kitchen. And your wife approached me after the meeting. So I appreciate that, but I will sit
Thank
down.
you, Miss Patty. I appreciate you.
Don't you include me in that, because I'm not in on that.
You stopped me in the kitchen.
Let's come to order. Come to order. Everybody, let's come to order. This is not a slugfest. It's a meeting of this council. You're welcome here. If you're not going to cooperate, you will be asked to leave. Item number 3, approval of new water rate codes. Mr. Evans.
Good evening, everybody. I seem to have put the cart before the horse. I apologize about that. So I need to talk about item 4 before we go on to item 3.
Just a little
Did I
bit.
shut it off?
Yeah,
How's that?
a little better.
Okay. Try to speak into it this time. All right, so I apologize, but we'll have to go to item 4 before we can go to item 3. So last meeting we discussed about moving the discounted rate for the second polycart to $10, right? Unfortunately, we have an annual increase from Sanitation Solutions of 3.5%. So if we move it up to $10 right now, it's only going to last for a month before we start losing money. So what I suggest is that we make a motion to include that discount to be $12 on the second polycart. That way we can maintain rates for at least a year, maybe 2, before we have to approach re-rating our current garbage codes. So I'd like the council to kind of consider that right now. I know Councilmember Lofton had suggested 10, and I should have intervened at the time, kind of knowing what our annual increase was going to be. But I know everybody's trying to save everybody else money, and I absolutely appreciate that. But we save people money in the long run by maintaining what the current rate is and not trying to adjust for deficits in the future. So can we have a motion, or can I entertain a motion to change the second polycart rate from $10 to $12?
Let me just interject that item number 3 talks about the rate. So you mentioned that, so I suppose it's all right to combine item 3 and item 4, since we're talking about the same thing.
Okay.
So what's the wish of the council?
We're increasing polycarts from what to what?
Last month we decided that we're going to change the second polycart to $10. If we do that, we lose money immediately in January. If we increase it to $12 on the second polycart, we can maintain that rate for at least a year and not have to adjust rates to account for that 3.5% annual increase.
And that increase would take effect
January 1st.
to do with item 3 and 4?
Item 4, or item 3 is the actual rate code, right? That
I'm
you
sorry,
see.
looking on item 3 and 4 right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the agenda, on the agenda.
Okay. Because I was thinking, that doesn't make any sense. Okay.
Well, I'll make the motion that we raise the second poly cart from $10 to $12 a month.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second to increase the cost of the second polycart to $12 a month, beginning in January 1. Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Okay, item number 5 on the agenda. Implementation of landlord policy, water deposit service agreements, landlord and tenant responsibility for water service in the city.
Have we included that this is now the new rate code? I need all members to sign this rate code adjustment. That changes the rate codes, everything that was set at 17.5 up to 20, all commercial units from 22.92 to 30, and then the quantity discount 12 on the residential polycart, 20 on the commercial quantity discount, and then obviously commercial tax exempt stays at 20, they just get a tax exempt rate.
Is that a single piece of paper?
It is a single piece of paper and it's for all the council members to sign, so I can forward this to Hampton.
Okay, thank you.
Should be item 9.
So does that mean the water and the poly carts are going up?
No ma'am, just the polycarts.
Just the
The
poly
water,
carts?
the water rate stays the same.
Okay.
I did, however, include the removal of the tax rate code. So right now we had a flat tax rate, 1.65 and 1.85. But when we include that 8.25% on all of our rates, that makes those flat taxes obsolete. So we can just go ahead and remove those if you guys choose to do so. But I'll need a motion to accept the letterhead, the rates as written. Again, there's one increase, but that was an old, everything that was set at 17.5 for some odd reason that some folks were still getting has now increased to 20, so we kind of, we solidify everything, put everything on the same place.
So do you need one page signed by each of them?
I need one page signed by all members of the council here, if it gets approved, so I can forward that into Hampton, and we can get our rate set.
We need a motion and a second on that, please. On the water rate codes. On the paper you have in your hand, Teresa, we need a motion and a second.
I make a motion to accept the new water codes. I'll second.
Motion and second to accept the rate code as described. Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carried.
All right, now on 5. I apologize. I got everything set.
We got item 9A, is that associated with what we just
Item 9A is going to be the actual, it's a draft ordinance that I came up with, and I'll need to pass this through the attorney, so you can kind of take a look at it, look at the legalities of it. Thank you, ma'am.
I need a copy of that.
I will hold on to it. Give it to you first thing tomorrow morning. Item 5, though, implementation of a landlord policy, water deposit service agreements, landlord and tenant responsibility for water service in the city. Okay, so bottom line up front is I had at least five residences last month. And some were tenants, one was an actual purchase. The water was still on for one reason or another, and then the individuals never came to start a service agreement with the city. So, it kind of puts us in a bind, right? And it also puts the tenant and the new landowner in a bind, right? Because as soon as they come to do a service agreement, they're already behind on water, right? Now, like, your water rate's gonna increase. So we just need a better communication, lines with the property owners, with the landlords, with tenants. And this draft of an ordinance kind of puts landlords, puts the onus on them to make sure that their tenants are coming up and creating a service agreement with the city and participating and giving us payment as required, right, as ordained by the city previously. So this kind of just outlines timelines for communication for occupancy, whether that's move-ins or move-outs. Ensuring that water service is terminated in between tenants, so it doesn't just continue. Requirement of landlord to ensure that their tenant establishes utility services with the city, and then account reversion from the tenant to the property owner, because I know who the property owner is in most instances, right? Thanks to our maintenance department, they're the ones kind of keep you abreast of what's going on, who's where, and what property is owned. So this kind of defines that I need a list from all landlords of their properties, right? I'm not trying to take your money, I just need to know what the property is, how many properties you got, and I need you to tell me when your tenants move out and when new tenants move in, so I can start trying to get them in for a service agreement, get them in to sign up water, and we kind of move on amicably from there. But again, this is just for draft purposes. It still has to go through Mr. Hamilton for approval. It's for you guys to look over and to discuss and agree upon. Do you have any questions based on what I've put in there so far?
One question, some property owners want to leave the water turned on for cleaning or whatever. I mean, does that affect this?
We can organize something, right? All it takes is a phone call for me to either go out there or to send one of the maintenance guys out there. I mean, it may not be immediate, but we can get somebody out there to turn the water off for you to utilize the water for cleaning services. The problem is, when that tenant walks into that property and the water's on, they're automatically going to assume, or at least that's what they've told me, is that, oh, well, the water's on, the landlord is going to be taking care of the water for me, I don't have to worry about it, right? And then that's not the case in 99% of the cases that I've kind of run into. And then again, they come in a month later, and now they got to pay $250 for a water deposit and an administrative fee, and then, you know, their water usage is already at 6,000-7,000 gallons, which is going to put them behind even more. And I don't know about you, but $250 goes a long way in my household.
If this ordinance gets passed, how will the landowners find out about this ordinance? Are you gonna notify them?
We can disseminate it through the property owners, but again, kind of like, I know of at least 3 landlord, or, you know, property owners in our city that offer services to tenants, right? So I can reach out to them and let them know that this is what we have, this is where we're going. And it requires them to actually give us a list, update that annually to where their property's at, and then, again, it kind of puts the onus on them as landlords to say, hey, we're going to make sure that the tenants go up there and start servicing you.
Will there be some kind of documentation that they have received this?
If I can get a list of all the landlords, then yeah, we can send out
And that
mailers.
come in and, some ways to, just document that, yes, landowners got it, because if you don't, they're gonna come back to you later and say, I never saw that.
And we don't have to do an ordinance, we can do a service agreement, right, with the landlords, and that way they know that this is a viable thing that we got going on. So, again, it's to prevent, it's open lines of communication between us and the landlord, and it's to prevent people from accruing bills that they're not gonna be able to pay later on, and it puts them in a bind, and it puts us in a bind. So, it's really just about open communication. That's what this kind of solidifies, is making sure that we're all communicating. It doesn't take, I don't know who the tenant is, right? But that landlord has probably much better access, whether it be through a management company or through their own lines of communication, to talk to that tenant. I don't have those lines of communication, I'm just kind of stuck.
So on item 5, there's really no need to approve this until we get that service agreement written or the ordinance written.
We need approval from Mr. Hamilton as far as whether or not this is a viable ordinance, and whether or not we can proceed, and whether or not it needs to just kind of downgrade into a service agreement to the landlords of our area. give to him on the side and ask him his opinion on it. But again, it's just kind of what I'm running through, right? And unfortunately, I don't have people to kind of bounce ideas off back and forth. This is my only opportunity, once a month, and I'll admit I'm not too happy about that. I wish we could get together more. I'm not sure what the legalities of that are, to sit down and say, hey, these are my issues, this is what I'm doing, these are the problems that I'm encountering, and unfortunately I can't do that. So I'm kind of stuck. You put me in an executive position, and I don't really have the authority to make those kinds of decisions, although I want to. I can't, right? So it's kind of where we're at right now.
All right, any other questions on this particular item? All right, we move on to item 6, residential poly park at RV park.
Item 6, again, is more informational than anything else. Again, it's just kind of me reaching out to you and letting you know what's going on. So we discussed the cap that was the commercial poly carts last month. I have since talked to Sanitation Solutions. They've requested to continue service as normal at the RV parks, right? Which is what was in question as far as the poly carts. They requested that we put however many poly carts that the RV parks want into our residential house count, and then I can just coordinate with them, with the RV park owners individually, coordinate payment and billing. But again, that's more advisory than anything else. It's nothing you guys need to vote on. It's just kind of what I'm doing. But I have talked to Sanitation Solutions, and that's exactly what they want to do. They prefer not to bring their trucks in there. They don't want to put the overhead dumpsters there. They prefer to go about business as normal as they're doing it right now. So I'll coordinate with them as far as how we invoice those poly carts, those additional poly carts, and then we'll add them to our residential house count at the end of the month, and I'll submit that for invoice to Sanitation Solutions. But that's already been done.
All right, questions, statements? All right. Item number 7, authorization of 2021 Ford Ranger.
I think that was me.
Oh,
Just, looking back, did we ever buy a Ford Ranger?
that was more of a public works vehicle, the
Okay.
Dakota driver, I believe.
Okay, to me, a Ford Ranger is a little bitty truck, and I don't remember seeing a little bitty
But
truck.
we've tried to save on gas and everything too,
Okay.
all the little running around that
Okay.
they had to do. And that was approved, I don't know if I have that,
Back in
the minutes for that.
2021.
Yeah. I do have it, I don't think I have it with me.
Mr. Hamilton, have you seen the minutes on that?
Minutes on what?
Authorization of the Ford Ranger?
I'm not.
So we don't know who authorized it?
So what?
So we don't know who authorized it?
Council too. If, Mr. Hamilton hadn't seen it, I will see that he gets it.
Was this one the one that was in meeting or the phone call?
I'm sorry?
There was one that was bought over a phone call. I didn't know if this one was it or if that was a different purchase.
I'm not aware of the one on the phone call, but, that one was back in 21. I think, Melissa, were you on council in 21? I don't think so. Yeah, I think Tex and myself are the only members that was on that council at that time. As I say, I do have those, agenda minutes. I will send them to Mr. Hammond.
I'll look to see if when I get in tonight to see if I've got that agenda, those minutes saved in my documents, and if I don't, I'll go ahead and send an email to the mayor and say I don't have them.
Okay,
If you're asking me if I remember it, the answer is no, I don't remember. But that's
any other questions? All right. Item 8, discussion of maintenance program for city vehicles.
Do we have any type of maintenance, program
maintenance schedule that I'm aware of.
Would it not be wise to have something like that to
Would it?
just to take care of the city's equipment?
Would be. Council can suggest that be developed if they'd like.
I want to make a motion that we develop a maintenance program for city vehicles across the board, and that be implemented as soon as possible.
We need to, I want to add something. We need to do something along the lines of, it may sound crazy, but anytime, whether it's a vehicle, piece of equipment, there needs to be a checklist of everything being checked, everything with the proper maintenance. There needs to be a signature behind it every day. Because if you start running equipment and you start running it without oil, I mean, you're going to burn it up. And hey, there's a signature. You said you checked it. Did you check it or did you not?
I'm going to amend my motion to add that there be a daily check with the employee's signature.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion to develop a maintenance schedule with a daily check and signature of whoever's taking possession of that vehicle.
God bless you.
Any other discussion? Questions? All in favor of the motion say aye. Any opposed say no.
Cody, can you work on that? Because you got a lot more experience when it comes to it than probably the rest of them.
Take a picture of that. We'll take care of that.
Don't forget to include the guys when you do that, you know.
If you will get it, we'll make copies of it. We'll bring, we'll just make copies of it.
All right. Okay, that motion passed. Item number 9, sales, transfer, and disposition of police vehicles. I saw, David, did the request to sell 4 vehicles, did that come from you, sir?
No, well, I've suggested it to anyone who would listen.
Well, I listened, I wasn't sure who did it.
But it's not a police department. My opinion has always been that a vehicle that just sits over there is a depreciating asset. It's not going to make any money, but we don't have anybody driving those things. So, of course, it's a legislative decision. You guys get to decide. But you've got a lot of assets in the ground over there, and we've got $2,000 in the bank.
Right.
I got a question. Did anybody ever walk out there and crank them up and let the oil run through them?
Not that I'm aware of.
You know, they'll burn just sitting there right in the crank. They'll dry up the gasket, rubber, oil rings and everything.
Yeah, they've been sitting there since first week in August, I believe.
Any vehicle needs to be cranked up, let it circulate more every so often.
I say we keep the 3 Chargers and the half-ton truck, the one that the last chief was using. Say the rest of them.
Is that the black one?
It's the Chevrolet, the Chevy 1500, and then my opinion would be sell the Blue Tahoe, Blue Explorer. What is it? A couple of Crown Vics, and then there's a Dodge pickup.
So, city had chargers before, and they're expensive to work on when they break down. Very expensive to work on when they break down.
Those Chargers are lazy, we can't get over it right now.
And we're up on year 1.
They are
on
on
5 year. Yep.
Who's got a copy of that lease? Because I'd like to call them up and try to visit
Do
with
you
them.
have a lease or?
I'll have a copy of the sign lease, I'll take a copy of what was put in everybody's packets.
Bobby said she sent it to me, but my email is saturated with stuff, so she's gonna send it to me again. I only think if we can get out from under that lease.
Yeah.
That, there's nobody driving them. You leases last for like 4 years. That might be something to at least explore to see if we can get the pedal off the finances here a little bit on that. So let me do that way. I'll decide the ones we own, if you're gonna sell any of those, and I'll work on the lease things too, if that's okay.
The Ford Explorer, you paid $32,795 for it, so I don't know how much you're gonna be able to get out of it, but I do have the price of that one here that I found in some bank statements.
Um,
How much you say, Bogata?
$32,795.
Thank you.
is
And it's a 2021 Ford Explorer.
all the car parts have been completely paid off besides the lease program, right?
As far as I know, they have. The only thing I get bills on is the lease program and the truck that the water guys drive.
So, hear me out, I guess if we're in a financial bind, what sense does it make to get rid of something that we don't have a payment on? Because if we start selling them, when we get a full, whatever we get, 3 or 4 officers, then we gotta turn around and buy more cars. We got some that are paid up. Now, some of them I do agree need to go, but if we're gonna get rid of the Chargers, I'd get rid of the Dodge truck and that blue Tahoe. Those would be the, and the Crown Vics. I mean, 'cause I doubt we're gonna have 4 police officers for a while anyway, so.
So the only one, if we get rid of the Chargers, the only one we keep is that half-ton Chevy?
I'd keep the Chevy, the Blue Explorer,
Okay.
I mean, right now, I don't think we need more than 2. I mean, but if we can't get out of the lease program, then I'd keep the Chevy truck and then keep the, lease cars.
Who signed the lease? Because I thought they were going to be bought outright.
Well, the lease program was simply that. It was a lease program for those vehicles.
But I mean, who signed the lease?
Well, ultimately, I think I signed the ultimate lease with BP, the signatory of the thing, but, I forget the exact, conversation that, the chief, had with us, related to that. We can go back and look at the agendas and the minutes for that as well, I think, so.
Bobby, have you seen the lease with signatures on it? I mean, do we know? Is it just mayor and secretary or?
I believe so.
Because I just was thinking back to the meetings that it was talked about purchase, so I would think if it went from being a purchase to a lease, that should have gone.
No, that's a different program. I mean, the lease.
I know, but shouldn't the city council have voted to do a lease?
When they were talking about them, I thought it was, at the end of the lease, you got the option to buy. That's what was presented to us.
And it may be, I don't recall that language, but it may be, usually I know, as far as equipment, being in the medical field, we leased equipment, first one thing or another, there's always was an option to buy at the end of that, lease, or up to so far into the lease.
Because I thought so much money went to it, and then we had a buyout option.
That's where my confusion was, is I was thinking that it was more of a buying situation than a leasing situation, so,
I remember right, that's how it was presented.
yeah.
I believe the contract is just simply lease. Whether or not it has a buy option or not, I don't recall. So do y'all want to check on the lease option possibilities? And then make your decision, or?
I still say we need to sell the Tahoe and the Crown Vics, and then we'll
one Crown Vic and one white one.
Yeah, I think there's just one.
The other Crown Vic, I think, was sold at auction or something, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I took a picture of it, trying to look and see if I still have it. Picture in here?
Yeah, I think the one in fact that came up with.
And yeah, I make a motion, we sell the blue Tahoe and the white Crown Vic.
I'll second that motion.
Motion and second to sell the blue Tahoe, right?
Yes, sir.
And the white Crown Vic, as far as the police vehicle is concerned. All right. Any other discussion? All in favor?
So on the, as far as the lease program, we're just gonna table that for next month and.
Yeah,
talk about
at
it.
least I'll have a chance to talk to them and find out, can we get out of it, or do we have a purchase option at the end of this, what's the story on the lease? And then you'll have some more data, which will hopefully.
Are y'all just gonna send these cars down to John Town, get a couple $1,000 for them, or are we gonna explore auction options to get the most you can out of it?
We need to do it where, call other agencies first. I have had a phone call already that, the sheriff's office, if we were to sell anything, they wanted to look at them first. But I don't suggest that we send it to Johntown, just because
No.
we're gonna get, like, I don't even know if we get $2,000.
There are buy boards and things like, interagency things, you can list them on there, and see, kind of go fishing and see what someone to offer for that. But these agencies around here are always looking, and the sheriff's office probably a good place to start. I know some other cities I represent, they have bought cars from them.
So do we need to amend the motion then to table the lease option, or we do that separately?
Let's do that separately.
Okay, we have a motion to sell the blue Tahoe and the white Crown Vic. Any other discussion on those two vehicles? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Motion carried. All right, and we need a motion then to table the lease vehicles until next month.
Make a motion that we table do anything with those three lease vehicles until Mr. Hamilton has a chance to contact the lease agency and find out what the situation is and what we can and cannot do about it.
All right.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to that effect. Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye. Any opposed say no. Motion carried. Item number 10, election training and travel expense approval. Item 1.
That is just for the training and for the hotel. If we can get Red River County to take care of our voting for a year, then I'm more than happy to put it off. It was brought to my attention that that was a training that I was supposed to go to sooner than later, but if we can get Red River County to cover us till next year, and when we got more money, I'll be happy to hold off on doing that. But otherwise, I was told it needed to be taken care of. That's the only reason it's been brought, because it starts in January. So if you need to send me, then, and that's just for the training and the room. That's not any travel expenses. I believe I wrote it up there at the top.
When does
Yeah.
it all have to be booked and paid for?
Excuse me?
When does all this have to be booked and paid for?
Well, it starts in January, so there's there's an early bird.
This is registration $3.90.
Yes, $3.90. The $3.90 is if you're a member of the TMCA, but it costs $125 to join the TMCA, and you're only saving $100 by being a member of it. So we're actually, if I join that, we'd only be saving $100, but we'd be spending $125 to become a member of it. I've heard there's advantages to becoming a member of that because you can take other classes and stuff through them. But, I mean, at this time, it's whatever y'all decide. And that's what I said. I don't know if we can talk to Red River County and have them take care of our voting for this year, or if it's, and put this off till next year.
Just my opinion, I'd say let's, I don't know, look back at this next month, and, because if you gotta have it, let's go ahead and get it done.
So you wanna table this next
I'd
month?
like to table this and then see what we look like financially next month. And if we've got more money than we thought come in, let's go ahead and knock it out and get it done.
Are you making that in the form of a motion?
When will you know if Red River County can cover it?
I can call them and ask them. They're gonna be here tomorrow. I can come ask them.
I think we'll still have to pay them some money of some sort to do it, so that needs to be factored into your decision.
If we gotta pay them, we might as well just pay for it now and go do it.
We might as well what?
If we gotta pay Red River, we might as well just bite the bullet and
Okay.
We do have to pay them for using the ballot boxes and stuff,
Yeah,
though.
it's roughly, for that is supplied around $3,000, varies a little bit. That was one of the reasons why.
But if we have to rent their supplies from them, it's gonna cost us that anyways.
Well, we still have some, I don't know, there may be dates and stuff on it, but we still have some supplies since we didn't have an election this past year, when folks were running against other people.
Where it's gonna cost you is you have to be open for early voting so much, and you ever pay somebody from Red River County to be down here for early voting for city elections for a week or 2 weeks or whatever it is, you're gonna rack up a couple $1,000 quick.
Most of the early voting is done at like a fair, I don't know, we haven't done it.
Not for city elections. It's
Oh, for city elections, that's correct, yeah.
That's where you're gonna run the most of your
But
expense.
the election like coming up tomorrow, they'll be setting up later tonight or early in the morning.
Yeah.
You know, that's a state, so I mean, yeah.
well, what if we go ahead and pass this, to go ahead and do this? Can we not just pay it next month?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have to go till January, so I think it's January the 10th and 11th.
I say let's do it.
Sam, you trying to set it up?
Yeah.
I will mention, unless something changed, now this is for the certification for the city secretary, correct? Is that what this?
No, this is the initial election judge.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm thinking about something else. Yeah, the election judge. Yeah. through 28 if you don't want to pay him to work on Friday.
Okay, on this, since this agenda has came out, I've made a couple of phone calls and found out that the classes that he took before are still good. He doesn't have to retake the class. He feels like he needs to retake the class because it's been a couple of years since he's took the test. My opinion is, if we're going to pay for him to retake this, that he's already took the class and passed the courses, then we shouldn't be paying him the hours also to go to the classes. That's my personal opinion. Since he's already took it and the certification, whatever it was he got, is still good. He just needs to go and take the test. But if he feels like he needs to take it and we're to pay the $495, I don't feel like that we should be paying him an hourly wage also to take the training. But this is y'all's call. That's just my opinion.
Well, my question is doesn't he have or shouldn't he still have the study guides and stuff for which to take the test? He just needs to study up and go take the test.
I have some questions and things in a folder that I found where he took some tests before because there's different modulars that he has to go through and study. And I do have the tests that he took and the grades that he made on them. Now, whether that's what's on the test that he needs to go take, I don't know, because he apparently went to take it the last time and the paperwork wasn't turned in correctly and he never got to take the test. And then apparently there was a waiting period and the paperwork was never refiled.
I think that's correct. I wonder the implication here in this is that there's a practice test for $25. I wonder if he needed to do that prior to committing to go take another test, or I guess he could pay for it himself.
Or you could just not do any of it if you're not gonna pay for it and just keep getting paid the same he's been getting paid for the last 5 years. It's pretty obvious he doesn't want to be certified, I think, and he doesn't want to take on the responsibility. And
Well, since he's been made, he's the director in training, supposedly. I mean, that's what the thing when we put him in there, and he's has done all the wastewater training up till now, and whatever
spend another $495 that we really don't have.
Well, doesn't he know that he's supposed to have some type of a license or something? I mean, he's been with the city forever. If he can't do it, like the couple said, get somebody else that can.
And the water license is, because he's kind of working on that too, but that's a little bigger, it's a little bigger process. You know, it's, his time in service and everything, he's been under the direction of the licensed person. So he meets whatever qualifications and stuff there, but there are some courses and stuff that he needs to take. There's some things that are offered through, in Parish for water things. I've gone to a couple of them for the ones to see what they were like. And they go and you get continuing education for those courses when you attend them, and they're free. And then some of that will apply to whatever criteria he needs for education. May not do it all, but at least it gives him some, or whoever's involved in it. But I've spoken to him a couple of times, you know, try to encourage him to, you know, go ahead and get this wastewater thing done so you can get started on the water. And so, you know, it's time for him to step up and decide what he wants to do. I agree with Dakota.
At the end of the day, Bogota's the one that messed the paperwork up, so I don't feel like we should take it out on him.
But if your name was on an agenda at the place you work, you would come to the meeting with me.
Right.
That's how much you can see, how much you care about it.
Made a motion.
All right, call for the motion. To table this item here until we can schedule a meeting with Dakota. Just Dakota, do y'all want to, as far as he's the one that's on the line?
Yeah, just a minute.
Okay. Did we have a second?
I'll second.
All right. Motion and second. Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
And all, if there's no, say no. All right, item number 12, combining bank accounts. See, item number 2 in your list, or in your packet. I believe, Bobby, you're up for that.
You can see where the way I've asked to combine them. Here on the paper is pretty self-explanatory. The things that are under here, I've talked with our CPA, either come out of the general fund, the water fund, or the court. That's the way they're listed in QuickBooks. There is, this is not including the CDs. There is 2 fire truck savings accounts. Those would be combined into one where the money for the donations would be going. And then you can see on the back there, you have the grants, which would stay the same, and the crime control board would not be added to anything else. Then our CDs we have 2 CDs that are still have not matured. We have 1 CD that's matured that has $31,152.33 in it that y'all need to make a decision if you want to roll that back into another CD or if you want to cash that. It's not in a CD right now. It's just sitting there right now, waiting for y'all to make a decision what you want to do. It's matured. It's not in CD at this time. It wasn't rolled into another CD. You just need to make a decision tonight what you want to be done with it. The bank called me and they said we have to have a decision on 7817. And then you can see down there at the bottom the 2 fire truck accounts, those CDs, those are going to be transferred to now that the minutes have been approved, will be transferred over to the fire department itself.
What are our options with that mature CD?
You want to answer that?
Yes, you can leave it there, and as I understand it, Heritage Bank says we don't pay the best interest in CD, and my personal investments, that's correct. They don't. So if you're gonna leave it in CD, you need to shop around here locally and figure out what bank's gonna pay the best interest on it. And then find out too, if when it matures, continue it in an investment account, then you need to shop for a bank that here within probably 60 or 80 miles, even closer, that pays you the best CD interest rate, so that you get money on your money that's there. Or you can say, no, we're going to cash it out and put it in the general operating fund.
Well, then I'll make a motion that we check around for, rates.
So do you want this to just be put into a separate checking account or a separate account, savings account for the time being, because it can't sit where it's at right now? Something has to be done with it.
Set an account that nobody has access to.
Okay.
If the rates are found by the staff and it's within 30, 40 minutes driving, you want them to just go ahead and transfer it over there to have that authority, because every minute it's getting interest is more money for the city.
Yeah.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, well, the item is combining bank accounts, and so we need to, is this what you want to do? The motion needs to include combining of the bank accounts with the direction, as far as that, well, it says not CD, that other account. So the motion needs to be include the combining of the suggested accounts that Bobby has presented to us.
So just, then I'll make a motion that we, combine the account that's presented to us and check for better interest rates for the CD,
For CD 7817.
7817.
And give Bobby the authority to.
And give Bobby the authority to, take action as soon as we find our best option.
All right, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye. Any opposed say no. Motion carries. Item 13, sewer permit bid for renewal. It's under item 2 in your packet.
It's items 3, 4, and 5, and then that extra one that I gave you that I said goes with number 13.
I'm sorry.
3, 4, and 5.
I'm looking at the other 3, 4, and 5. Just a little information, this is something that happens, I think it's every 5 years. Someone has to certify the permit, and I'm not sure if this company's been the one that has done it before, but I think that's what Wyatt told me, or told us when we were talking about it with David and Dakota. And I mean, this is something that we have to do. I don't know if there's any other companies that have entered bid.
Okay, what are these 3 documents we're looking at? Because I'm.
Those are all 3 different bids.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Plus the one that I gave you that said goes with number 13, that's also a bid. So each one of them is a different bid from different companies. I believe the first one we got was like $10,000, and anything $10,000 or more, we have to go out for bids. The other ones are, I think, quite less.
Which one did you say you thought we were using now? This,
Well, I was thinking that this Peyton Dawson may have been the ones that's done it before. But these others are quite a bit less, so, I mean, if you get the same certification, then obviously it's not rocket science, you know.
Which one did you say we used last time?
Well, I think it was Peyton Dawson. But that's, I'm not sure, but I believe that's what Wyatt was telling me. Stan Hayes, we've done business with Hayes in various other things, and that one is $34.95. And I don't know, Robin Butko, it's $4,400. Well, he gives a discount, and it's $3,800. I do know we've done business with Stan Hayes on different engineering things.
and how was their work?
The work was okay. We made a change a couple of years ago. Went back to KSA because of the wastewater problems. The problem there is that it was going out to a third party, and we never could get an answer of what we needed to do. And so we contacted KSA, who used to do a whole bunch of different things for the city. And in fact, they helped with a lot of the project planning and those kinds of things. And anyway, we went to KSA because Stan and him couldn't get whoever the third party was to contact us about the wastewater problem. We went several months before we could ever get any kind of answer. So KSA was, when we made a call, within a week we were talking to people about the problems at the wastewater plant. But other than that, I don't have any problem with Hayes Engineering. I mean, it's
Just a basic email, I'd throw them right out. I mean, these other people took time to present something. And that, to me, that says a lot about an individual.
which one?
Hayes.
I would throw the Hayes out.
Okay.
If you can take time to really put something together, and you want us to use you,
Yeah.
Well, I think this $10,000 is absolutely ridiculous. I say nix it.
All right, that leaves you with the third bid. After the discount, $3,800. Robin Butko, Houston.
I just don't understand $3,800 if we've got $2,000 in the bank, how we're paying for all this stuff, honestly.
We don't have.
We
a
have-
choice. We don't have a choice.
We have 6 months, I believe, to get this activity done.
Has to be done by April 6th.
That money will also come out of the water department fund. It won't come out of the general account.
Okay.
Is there anybody local?
There's a
Hayes, that's the only one that I know of.
No, this guy, Jack
Jack
Baker.
Baker,
Oh, really?
This
Motion and a second to accept the bid from Jack Baker out of Paris. Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries. Item number 14, clarification on 198 monthly payment to the fire department. Research that I've done on this goes back a while. I mean, it was 198. I believe it's the donations to the fire department. And I think it's the $2 or part of it anyway. There's another section.
You doing a history lesson?
Huh?
You doing a history lesson?
Sure.
So, that $198 came about in the 70s. The city council at the time decided to comp the base water bill to the firefighters on the fire department. It was $11 is what the base water bill was. In the early 80s, TCEQ came along, or whatever they were then, and said, wait a minute, y'all can't give away water. So the city council in the early 80s said, well, how many people were on the fire department? They said, well, we average 18. So they said, $11 times 18 is $198. We're going to give y'all $198 a month. From the early 80s till June of 2004, the city secretary would write a check and deposit it into our account for us every month. July of 2004, they started direct deposit. So that's how long it's been going on. This has been going on way longer than the $2 donation that's on the water bills. I believe whatever year it was that they took away the $1,250 that was going to the fire truck fund, it was either fiscal year 22 or 23 when they changed everything up on the budget that year. They voted to do away with this, but nobody ever went to the bank and stopped the automatic transfer. The same way with the $1,250 that's been going into the fire truck fund every month, and then at City Hall they say, oh, we've been overpaying this, we'll take $20 grand out this month to pay payroll, or we'll buy a car with this $30 grand. That's how it's been, because nobody has gone to the bank and done what was voted to be done by the council. So, by all rights, I don't guess we're entitled to the $198 anymore, but it's been going on for what, 50 years? Yeah, so that's the brief history of it.
So right now, the $198 is an automatic
Yes, ma'am.
draft.
Yep.
And then there's still the $2 donation.
Yeah, that's
the
That'll be the other one. I can't remember what line it is, but there's another one down there that's.
And that's supposed to go into the fire truck savings account at the city. Yes, at the city. So the $198, I'm assuming, comes from the general account every month, has for 70 years or 60 years, whatever it is. At the fire department, we have 3 accounts. We have our regular checking, we have a savings, and we have our special checking. That $198 goes into the special checking account. That's the only money that goes into it. We use it when we have a Christmas party. We use it for that. It's really set up for if we go to a fire and I tear a pair of pants on on barbed wire fence, I can say, hey, my $50 pants got tore up. Here's the receipt for the new pair, and we write a check. That's only been used like that once or twice. But we use that as our special account because it's not donated money. That way, the $50 check you gave me earlier, I'm not buying pants with that. It's just a kind of checks and balances thing. But we have bought a lot of equipment out of it over the years because we're frugal with our money and we don't spend that much money out of that account generally. So.
All right, there's the explanation. What do you folks want to do with that account or that money?
Do we have to do anything?
No, you don't. I mean, that's whatever you want to do.
I would ask that, and I'm sure the attorney would agree with me on that, if we do leave it the same, when you do get a new budget set up and approved, that probably needs to be in that budget because it was taken out of that budget in 22 or 23. So
I think it is on line for the budget. I think it's, I'm just pulling numbers here out of my head, but I think it's something like $2,300 or something
Yeah,
a year or something sure, but I believe I'm 99.9% positive that that's the way it is.
If it stays, we would appreciate it. If not, we understand.
If we don't take any action on it, it's gonna stay just like
Stay
it
where it's at.
right.
I think at this point, we don't even need to touch it.
Right.
Just leave it like it is. That's what I think.
Thank you.
This,
No, let's hold on a second. Because if I understood the history lesson correctly, at one point in time, the city said, we're not gonna do it. And nobody went down and stopped it. So if you're saying continue it, you're saying we approve it. There's gotta be something affirmative someplace, as opposed to us just hiding our head in the sand and saying, well, we don't wanna touch it because we've got the fire department already upset us over this other stuff. You need to say either we're gonna approve it or we're not. And if you approve it, it just stays the same. But this idea of, I don't want to document the mistakes I've made, we need to get way past that. Because it is real hard to read the history of this city. It is real hard to read it. And so if you're gonna put this down, you just say, no, we're gonna authorize it at least through the end of the budget year. I don't know where your money's gonna come from, but that's what you need to do, as opposed to say we're just gonna ignore it. Because it makes life a little difficult for people to come along and try to figure out why are we paying $198? Well, you voted 5 years ago not to do it. Now you're still doing it. Is there a lawsuit pending? Maybe. I don't know who would file it, but you need to do something affirmative saying, hey, we're gonna do this and we approve and ratify everything that's been done in the past. Just so your records look clean when the auditor gets in here, they don't scream and shout and their blood pressure goes up to 180 over 160. Please.
And I make a motion that we continue to authorize transfer of $195 each month. $98 each month to the fire department fund.
Can we just make that a even 200? I mean, what's $2?
We can, but then we've got to authorize somebody to go down and change it at the account because they won't let anybody touch it without minutes. Leave it the same. Who seconded that?
all right, do we have a motion, do we have that motion then to authorize the 198 months?
Christie seconded it.
Okay. Motion then second to authorize the 198 months to the fire department. Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. All right, item number 15, don't know, do we have any of that information available to us? Council member protections to obtain Amazon receipts for the CPA, do you know that's been done?
No, last month he said if y'all wanted him to gather them, he would, but y'all just kind of left it alone. So the question
I make
is,
a motion we allow Tex Lawson to obtain Amazon receipts for the CPA.
I'll second it.
Motion and second to allow Tex Lawson to obtain the Amazon receipts for the CPA. Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye. Any opposed say no. Number 16, discuss 4 recurring bank transfers. Item 6 is packet. Mr. Bobby, you'll have to explain what we're looking at here.
well, they're kind of going to go away because y'all decided that we could combine the accounts. So these are just random amounts that have been, one's been going to a computer account, one's been going to some other account. But they're all in the general, so since y'all made the decision to combine the accounts, then, but we gotta you've got to vote to stop these so we can combine the accounts. Because these have to be stopped by a vote of the board.
All right, then I would entertain 17, change of authorized personnel charge at will. Item 7 in your packet. Terry Jordan on that list no longer works for the city. Letitia Miles and Jerry Hudson. Is he still doing any of that at all?
He is, he's our treasurer, but.
Okay.
Sorry, treasurer.
Okay. I didn't know if he was still going to purchase and stuff. No.
Generally, no, he's not the one who will purchase anything.
So,
Who from the fire department would need to be on there then?
I would guess me, assuming that if we were to utilize that, does that come out of one of our line item budgets, or?
good question.
Yes, it should.
I don't, unless it comes out of y'all's budget.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, I don't know what's on your budget.
Because I wasn't even aware, I'm sure Jerry is, but I wasn't aware that anybody on a city charge account.
Yeah, I just think that, Jerry's been here for as long, he's on there doing it, so it's not, we don't have, I'm not aware of a line item for purchase for the fire department through Edwards, whatever supplies, whatever they need, so. David, Dakota, and whomever else that, actually,
Let's let the attorney address
I
this.
just, why is the fire department charging on Atwood's account, a city account? Why are they even authorized to do that?
well, that's what I said, I think it's just one of those things that's always been done that way, but it goes back a while, I'm sure. Jerry's not here, so he could probably tell us, if we had the opportunity to talk to him.
Sure makes it hard to track the money you're putting into the fire department.
Yeah. That's why I say that it's probably a line item for the fire department, but not what we do. Yeah.
Is there anything that anybody else besides David and Dakota would need to go to Atwoods for?
Not right now.
They go for supplies for the public works stuff.
Yeah, it's, they buy blades and they buy, oil. I don't know if they buy oil there or not, but, about different supplies.
And as far as I'm concerned, you don't need or have to put me on that list, that would be the logical person if you were gonna replace Jerry, but if you just wanna remove Jerry and not have anybody on the fire department, that's fine with me.
Yeah, I just think that's something that you guys handle through your budgeting process.
Which we do have line items at the city that we can purchase stuff with, but generally, if I'm gonna do it, we just purchase it and then get it first.
Right. So right now, David and Dakota's the only two that's actually doing it now. Even our part-time person doesn't do any of that, so.
I make a motion that we remove Terry Jordan, Jerry Hudson, and Letitia Miles from the Amazon account.
I second.
All right, motion to remove Terry Jordan, Jerry Hudson, Letitia Miles from the Atwoods account. Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Any opposed, say no. Number 18, explore order options and attempt to secure service date.
Do we know where we are with an audit?
No, our CPA said that we need to find an auditor. She suggested that we find an auditor and get on an auditor's list, because once she gets things completed, we're not gonna be able to just call an auditor and say, hey, we're ready for you to come do it. You have to find one, you have to get on their list, and then set up a date for them to come. She knows that we're on a time crunch and that we have to have one done within a 6 months.
I don't know if we've been deemed by the Attorney General yet.
But anyway, she knows we're on a timeline, and she suggested that we go ahead and, find one auditor and get them lined up and get on their calendar. That's what this is about.
Yeah, did Elizabeth say whether or not that, once you complete her work, that, John and him from, what is it? It's one that started our audit before, her company. What's her last name?
She named off of several that she said knew, that
I
she
know
knew
we tried
that
it.
did
We
city
tried it.
audits.
Yeah.
Y'all had Arnold and two.
Arnold withdrew out of it back in
Yeah.
2020, I think.
So did Elizabeth suggest an auditor or?
She named off several that she knew that did city audits. She did not suggest one over the other.
We talked to somebody in Texarkana a couple of years ago now, and they, like Bob was saying, I mean, they were booked up. They didn't have a lot of leeway to start anything new. It was going to be several months before they could even begin anything.
So what do we need to do to get on a list?
We have to find an auditor and see if they're willing to take us. Willing to put us on their calendar.
I'll put this in motion. I make a motion, we go ahead and find an auditor and get on our waiting list.
I'll second.
Motion and second to locate an auditor who will set us on a waiting list.
Now, was the property tax increase able to go through without that audit? Because I know everybody's got their,
There's no property tax increase.
okay. I was just questioning because I knew that the audit had not taken place.
Okay, we have a motion then to search for an auditor, get on a waiting list. Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Update on city budget. I've been working on the budget. I've applied the rate that we had to go to. I plugged that into the budget. Both Bobby and I have been looking at trying to fine tune each line item. I know most of you may or may not know, but the process with the budget began, I guess back in 2020, 2021. Council probably had a lot to talk about as far as the budget, how we were going to, start doing the budget, how we were going to get the numbers and everything, because we didn't have the, things like QuickBooks and that sort of thing that provide the reports and everything. So it was decided back in that day that they would average budgets together. I think it was about 9 years, and in the 2020, 21, 22, I have to look at my notes. I have to look at my budgets, but that average, Miss Glenn Martin worked all that up with all those years, and we arrived at a budget numbers, and then it was that's where we started. And so a lot of the numbers, except for things like the tax rate and the revenue coming in, some of those things were usually pretty static, pretty close. And of course, there were some things, that we had to fine tune, of course. But the whole process has been part of the fine tuning process for the last 5 years. So we're still in that process, but with the work that Miss Bobby is doing and the CPA, we're able to start getting some numbers where we can fine tune those lines. However, by the time we meet next month, I should have those lines fine-tuned where we'll have some budget to present to the council.
So are you going to know if we went over budget last year or we're under budget on line items?
We're going to know on some of them. All of them, maybe not, because we still don't have the actual
Because you're still in the process of putting everything in.
Yeah. So line items, we'll have as close as we can possibly get it. That kind of defines the budget process, but as close as we can get it to each line item, we should have a better view. Right now, with the work that I have done, we have a surplus, but there's some adjustments with the revenue and then some in the expense side that I'm still have to work on and get better numbers at. I've taken a look at a lot of the things to find where we could make some cuts. I still don't know about like payroll for police department, but I've factored in several options. I've put the lowest option in at this point, but should we get a chief and one or two or three officers, I factored in those things as well. I'll set them off to the side and not factor on the actual line, but the line, what I factor on that line, for example, is whatever like a police chief and one officer or two officers, I put that number in there. So some of those options that are setting out to the side, you'll see that when I present the budget to you, and then maybe we'll have some idea as to what what kind of payroll and other things that we're going to have as this budget starts to roll out. I think I'm correct that you guys said that we would postpone the budget for 90 days. Is that what you guys remember? Or up to 90 days?
I don't recall.
I'd have to go back and look at the minutes, but I think that's what it is. But anyway, we'll work on that and have that fine-tuned by the next council meeting.
Let me point out, the city's already passed the its budget. The budget was due October the 1st. It's now November the 1st. So the city, as a government body, is operating without a budget. I don't remember a 90-day thing. I guess I'm going to stop and look in the minutes.
I don't believe
remember
it.
that. I don't remember that. This budget is a priority item. And Mr. Mayor, you are the chief financial officer of the city. It needs to be done. Like pronto. And as soon as you get a proposed budget, it's public record. It needs to be posted where the citizens can look at it. And please don't wait till the day or two before the agenda to distribute to these people around here. People need to look at this, and it's past due. So if it's going to be next month, then it needs to be next month. And if you get a proposed budget, let us look at it so we can help you. We want to make the city successful. That's the whole purpose here. So this is not success. This is a late budget.
Right.
All right, any other questions? All right, item number 20. Status of $10,000 check given to the mayor from the city attorney. That $10,000 check was passed on to the city secretary, who put it in the bank and put it in the general fund. I think I have a copy of that somewhere. I asked Ms. Bobby to find that for me, and she can verify that in fact that is in fact what took place.
What was the $10,000 check for, Mr. Attorney?
The food mart, when we finally got to district court, and we're still in the process of trying to finish that up. One of the things that occurred back in midsummer was they tendered $10,000 in attorney's fees. They still owe some more, and since I'd already been paid by the city, I just mentions in this governmental body of somebody being over budget on a line item. And I haven't heard the word line item mentioned in the budget in this place in the 2 years I worked here. But you know what it was about? You may want to guess who was over their line item budget and how it was brought up publicly? It was me. So somebody was monitoring how much money was being spent here and not maybe how much money was being spent other places. And nobody ever announced, hey, the city attorney created $10,000 in revenue and just gave it to the city back in the summer. So I was a little bit narcissistic about putting this on here because I wanted somebody to know that the city attorney's not a hole in the bottom of the bucket and stuff just leaking out here. There's been $10,000 given to the city for that property out there, and there'll be some more. So I'm glad to see that it was deposited. I thought it probably was, but there was a reason.
That's it, down to everybody see it.
Thank you, Mr. Hamilton. Out of curiosity, I know that y'all were disposing of, or talking about selling assets. I know there were several people that had inquired about that big smoker that had been on that property that disappeared. I was curious if anybody knew what happened to that, or if it was given to, I know it wasn't given to the fire department, but I just wondered where that ended up at, because that's something that the city could have sold for $2,000, but it just kind of disappeared.
I do not know where it is. I just know it's not out there now, but there's still enough junk out there where the people are still in trouble, at least with me.
Thank you. That smoker disappeared when they demolished that building.
I think
So I
they're the ones
assume the
that-
people who demolished the building took the smoker.
Okay, somebody had asked me, so that gave me an opportunity to ask.
There were people who wanted to buy it, but it was gone. It's terrible.
That's it, Dan.
That's the check.
Deposited along with this check, so if you look for it on the bank statements, it would have been $10,038.
Okay, that may be yours. I didn't see it 'cause I was just-
All right. Item 21 and 20 were associated to that same thing we're talking about here, so we'll move on to item 22. Review the history of Bogata Economic Development Corporation, bank account 3140, as well as meetings, minutes, and agendas. I have those things, but the Bogata Economic Development Corporation has done nothing in the year since it's developed. There was 3 members involved initially, myself and Tex and Miss Lindsay. And of course, Miss Lindsay passed away a year or so after that. Miss Lindsay was the secretary. There was an attempt to ask folks if they wanted to be a part of the BEDC. There were some questions that, about what they had to do, but we're trying to organize the meetings. We have actually the initial set of minutes. We have that as far as the organization. There was one other meeting about a year or so after that to try to organize. I have those agendas, and actually the minutes are part of the agenda because the secretary was never able to create the minutes. There was funding sent to BEDC back in 21, November, I think. 21, it was part of the Recovery Act money for the work around for the wastewater plants and pumps and different kinds of infrastructure stuff. I have all those checks and all those receipts. If anybody's interested in looking at them, we had to supply them to the attorney if he wants to get the book here as well. If anybody that wants to look at it, I do have all that information that I just mentioned here in the packets as well. But there's not been any work, anything that generated any funds other than that money that was approved by the council back in November of 21, and I believe that was like $131,000 of that Recovery Act money. The other Recovery Act money went for various and sundry infrastructure projects, which again I have all that information. I supplied the attorney with the reports and stuff that were required to have each year, and that's about it in a nutshell.
What attorney did you give that to?
You, I sent it to you, I guess. Not the compilation of these checks and stuff, but the reports and to the comptroller and that sort of thing.
I'm trying to understand, was there any meetings of this Economic Development Corporation?
One meeting.
Okay, here's the issue I have with this. The bank account records show that in October of 2023, there was $216,289.73 in the bank.
Whoa.
And the last bank balance is $4,958.50. If that corporation didn't meet, how is the money being spent?
And who are the signers?
Hold on. How is that money being spent if that business didn't meet and authorize it?
Well, the council authorized the spending of the money, and then like I say, I have all the information. You know, if you'd like to look at it,
Mr. Mayor, if the council authorized the spending, then it better be in the minutes someplace.
it is.
That every time you transfer money to 2880, there's a minute that says that you can do it.
I don't know about that now.
Well, I do.
Yeah.
I do. And I particularly know about the ones in May where we were buying police cars and there was money transferred to that account before those CDs matured. Before those CDs matured, there was money transferred into that account which had to pay for those police cars.
Well, I have receipts, sir. I have receipts and checks when all those things.
That's not, Mr. Mayor, that's not the point. It's the authority to spend the money.
Well, I believe we have that too.
All right, if you've got it, I would ask most kindly that you send it to me.
I will do it.
Mr. Attorney, that wouldn't fall under the council, that would fall under the board to spend that money, right?
Those particular economic development corporations are set up either consistent with Chapter 250 or 251 of the local government code. And as such, they have to comply with the Open Meetings Act, period. So I don't know that there's ever any agendas posted, and that would be the place that I would think would have the authority to spend the money. Not the city council. It's kind of like the crime district. Once you approve their budget, they get to spend it, and then they have to report to you. I think it operates the same way. I don't think the city council can tell them how to do it.
Well, I know that the monies, the grant monies and the act monies that were given and awarded to the city had to follow I had to file reports, showing, what that money is being used for. I had to file reports when the money was done periodically, what it was spent for, what the remainder was. In fact, we just sent back $500 at their request after they reviewed all the things that they required of us. We had to return $500 of that money back to the Treasury. That's been done, and like I say, I'm perfectly willing for you to take a look at all these things.
Is there a paper trail for where we can 100% see that money was pulled from that account?
I've got the bank account records, and I run it to my AI program, and I've got it all. I've got a synopsis here, and all of the transfers transfers are made directly to the general fund of the city, 2880. They were all put in there. Some of them have explanations for them, some of them don't. They're just transfers of money. So, yeah, I can't tell you that.
Well, I'd be interested to look, see the transfers and what the amounts were and see if they match up with the records that I have. Be glad to set a time for you and I to get together to do that.
Well, I think I want to look at the records first before you and I sit down and talk. Here's one on April the 30th, 2024, and these are the notes. $71,489.73 from the Bogata BEDC account to 2880 with the description, refund general fund. What are we refunding the general fund for?
That I don't know.
Okay,
Who had authority to transfer out of that to the general fund?
Wasn't me.
Wouldn't we be the only two people that would be on it?
Yeah, the mayor and the city secretary is what y'all said at the last meeting, were the only ones that were in that office authorized to transfer funds. So again, I ask if we find there is any kind of error or malfeasance, that the city invoke the right to file against the bond on the mayor so that we can hopefully save this town, is what I'm hoping.
well, you kind of put the cart before the horse. You rest assured that if there's an issue there, that's my job.
Thank you.
So, and if there are issues there, I'll be happy to report to the council on them as well. It's just that we're struggling along with $2,000 for the bank, and we're missing $210,000 over 2 years, and where did it go?
You know, all the money for BEDC that was put into that account come from grant funds, and we're under whatever restrictions that they apply to us to have to spend and report those funds. So if anybody transferred monies around, it was outside of our authority to do so, and I was the one handling those particular funding things. That's why I say I've got all that information for you to look at. Sure.
So wouldn't it be illegal to be messing with grant money and buying cop cars?
That grant money had nothing to do with cop cars as far as I know. I have all the money that we were granted to. I have the receipts. I have the checks. All these things, and there's the indication on the reporting where each dime went to. I have all that.
Well, yours says one thing and paper trail says another.
Well, I mean, his paper trail is a little different than mine.
Here's what I can tell you that I've seen in the bank account records from the May the 16th, 2024 emergency session. There was a representation that there's going to be these maturing CDs, and they would be available to buy these 2 police cars, even though the agenda said we're going to buy 1. So you look in the bank records, and the CD that matured was only $48,000. Well, the city spent $78,000. There wasn't a matured CD in that amount to cover the expenses that this organization authorized. So at that same time, I think the day before and the day after, there were $50,000 or $60,000 from the Economic Development Corporation transferred into that account, and then there was a check written on the 17th of May to cover the cost of the police cars. There wasn't enough CD money to pay for the police cars.
Was the cars paid for before we even?
No. They were paid for afterwards. I think the authorization was on the 16th, and I've seen the check. It's dated either the 17th or so, and it didn't clear until the 20th of May. There wasn't any money that went before the council approved it. It's just that the money that was represented to be there to buy those cars wasn't there.
Was that the emergency meeting?
Yes, sir.
Yes, and that's why I was saying it was never presented at the emergency meeting that there were gonna be leases either.
That, you're mixing apples and oranges. They didn't talk about a lease at that emergency.
Yeah.
And I've seen the agenda, and it was strictly
Yeah.
purchase of police cars.
That's what I mean, is they said they were gonna purchase, not lease.
They did purchase, they
That's
purchased
two
two
different
cars,
meetings.
and then later they launched their
And they did. They purchased two vehicles. There's not really a lease associated with May 2024 that I've seen. It may be someplace in the time period. But it didn't have anything to do with that May the 24th and those funds there at all.
All right, other questions?
Where does the Bogata Economic Development Corporation stand right now? Is it in existence, or is it just?
They're still in existence. I had to file those reports every year as far as, did we take in, money, did we have to pay taxes? I file those reports, and we're still in existence. It's just there's only two of us right now that's members of the BDC, Tex and myself.
So if there's only been one meeting, why has it been that much money spent on it?
Pardon?
If y'all only had one meeting, how is it that y'all are able to spend money on that thing?
Because the money that we received was grant money, and we were required to use that grant money for the purposes that was designated. And so the money was spent for all the infrastructure things that were going on at the time.
So I guess
And there was monies on other grants for like the roads that got redone. And
so y'all covered all of that in one meeting?
pardon?
If y'all covered all of that in one meeting, or?
No, all the grant money was approved and used, prior to that meeting. The meeting that we had was simply, what are we gonna do? How are we gonna do? What steps are we gonna take? What projects are we gonna, try to work on? And a lot of it, because it was just three of us there, at that meeting, was simply to try to organize and encourage members to come and be a part of Bogata Economic Development Corporation. So, that was it. But all the monies that was directed out, to the projects, that I mentioned had to do with the grant monies, that were authorized, by the fact, had to apply for them. We had to, follow the things that they had us to do in order to be did. And I'm the one that did that. If I hadn't done some of that, go all the way back to COVID, we would have lost $260,000 if I had
Sounds like we
completed the
did lose
application.
$260,000.
Pardon me?
Sounds like we did lose 200 and something thousand.
No, we didn't lose it. It got spent on infrastructure stuff.
Well, Mr. Hamilton just said part of it was refunded into the general
Well, that's what
fund.
I'm saying. That's not something that we did as far as BEDC. If somebody took money out of BEDC or moved money around, it wasn't BEDC. It wasn't me, or it wasn't Tex that did any of that. It was all those funds that 131,000 of that went through BEDC to sit there, so it would not be used by any other purpose.
Who had the authority to transfer money out of that fund, account?
Nobody that I know of.
But
Somebody did.
But you and Tex.
Me and Tex, yeah, but I mean, there's no use for the money because we were mandated to follow the grant conditions for the purposes that I sent in for the application. And that's all that money got spent for.
So, David or Bobby, was Tisha Miles on this account,
No, Tisha wasn't on the account.
All I've seen is the transfers. I don't know who made, and most of them were between accounts. Like you do it online or you call the bank or something like that. I don't think
because I mean,
anybody.
it comes down to we had Brother Jeannie make a wish, and they move over here, somebody moves them up.
There had to be some affirmative act by somebody to get it done, either online transfer or call transfer or document transfer, and I haven't seen any document transfer, so I'm kind of ruling that out. And that either it was an online transfer back and forth, or it was a call transfer.
not document who called?
They should say, here's who called.
Is there any way to know who, I mean, if it was done on a computer, is there any way to document that or find out who did that?
You're talking a little bit above my pay grade, whether you go in there and look in somebody's computer.
Well, I asked that question to the bank, and, cause I asked the same thing, what person, received the call, what person, did the action or whatever. They were not able to provide that information to you.
So it's just like a bank transfer?
Yeah, I guess it was a online transfer, I suppose. I didn't know there was any money being transferred into or out of the BDC.
So you get
Because all
this,
that money was committed to the grant conditions.
so you get a $200,000 grant, you have one meeting, and then you don't keep an eye on the account?
Well, we didn't even have the money at that time when it first came in.
I know, but I'm saying you did all this work to get this money, but you didn't follow up to see on what happened with it?
Yeah, I can tell you what happened with it. I've got records showing what happened to it.
You just don't know who did it?
I don't know anything about who did any kind of transfers. I know where the money was spent that we got for the grant money. I didn't have anything to do with who was transferring one thing or another. That was not I'm not the accountant. I'm not, but,
Was there anything, when the things for infrastructure were done, was those paid out of that grant account or out of the general fund?
now, that I don't know. Whenever we had to send the money to pay for whatever, a motor being done or a pump or whatever infrastructure was done, I would instruct, it was either, at the time, it probably was Jennifer, maybe. Okay, pay this out of that infrastructure money.
David, so, you got, are your copies from the bank, where, like, that shows the transfer was made, what it was for, is that coming from the bank?
Yeah, these are the bank statements.
Then that's what you go off of.
Yeah.
I'm happy to share these records with anybody who wants to see them.
Well, hopefully the
Well, you
Texas
spend it the way
Rangers
you
will
want
come.
to.
I'm not trying to spend it. I want the Texas Rangers to come in here and figure out where the money went. That's what I
When
want.
it comes to that, I can show them exactly where the money went.
I hope so.
100%.
Then why would one record show one thing and another one show something?
I don't know, it just depends on whoever's doing the transferring, I suppose.
So you're saying the bank's wrong then? That
I'm not
those
saying
records-
anything, I'm saying I can prove that grant money went to wherever it was supposed to go.
So, I have a question. You said when someone would come, we would instruct the city secretary to pay that bill out of that account. But you just said the secretary was not authorized signer on that account. How can they pay a bill out of an account that they don't have access to?
That I don't know, but as far as I know, we did not have an account that said, this is the Bogata Economic Development Corporation. I know that those
You
funds
just said you transferred $136,000 and nobody else would touch it to that
went
account.
that's right, that money was transferred into.
Now you're saying there's not an account.
No, I'm not saying that, we didn't have a checking account or anything like that I'm aware of. That money was, and if she put it in the general fund, I don't know. All I'm telling you is that that money that we got for the grants, for the Recovery Act, I've got records of those monies and where that money was spent. And how they managed that, through the accounting, is beyond me.
So
Well-
what's benefit is there, you're saying you were open that account, so to me, it comes down to either you or Tisha moved the money.
Well, then prove who did it. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. All I can say, I've got records showing where
You
those
just said-
monies were spent and how much.
Okay, well, I know we've been struggling to get the Texas Rangers here, but I know they're a lot more serious in Washington about mishandling COVID funds. So maybe that's our next phone call.
Whatever floats your boat.
whatever gets the truth, Mayor.
It
We're
is-
trying
it
to
is true.
save
And
this
I
town.
resent somebody suggesting that I'm not telling the truth.
I resent the fact that every time somebody tries to say something you don't like, even when I bring up Marvin Nichols, you say, I'm sick of you bringing it
No,
up.
I've never said that.
Sir.
I've never said that.
Sir, you've cut me off on video before everybody saw it.
Listen, I've never said I'm sick of you doing anything.
I'm sorry.
The conversation that you and I have had, Miss Patty, has to do with your situation with your family, with your husband, and why people don't want you around whenever they're doing. I've had vendors tell me that. And we've had this conversation before.
You know
This is
what's-
not the first time.
Sir, you dislike me, and that's fine.
No, I don't.
No,
I don't
it's
dislike anybody.
Okay.
I don't dislike anybody.
Mayor, call for order.
I'm sorry? Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Mayor, there is an account.
There is an account.
Okay, is that not where, when you've done some work, is that not the account number that those paid out of?
I mean, what we have there, I didn't know what account number that we had. Wherever it was put into, the money was put into an account for us to use.
And it came out of this account when you
As
paid
far as I
out?
know, there was no other avenue for that to go from or to. As far as I can tell y'all, I'm happy to share this information with anybody, and if somebody did something that wasn't supposed to be done, well then, we need to take care of that too. But, as far as this money with BEDC has just been sitting as a shell corporation, since its inception. And, the monies that were put there was put over there for the infrastructure, use for part of it. The Recovery Act amounted to something like $263,000, but only 131 was actually put over into the account because the other money were used for infrastructure stuff, and it was used that way all the way through the inception, all the way through the process. So I'm happy to share all that information, not only with the attorney, but if you guys want to take a look at it, you're welcome to do that.
Let me correct that. You haven't shared all that information with me yet. And that's what I'm expecting you to do,
And I
is to
will.
share that information with me.
And I will.
Okay.
But you said that meeting after meeting, Mayor, that you would
No,
share.
this is the first time we talked about BEDC. I don't know why you keep interrupting like that. I just don't understand.
Well, no, I'm talking about as far as him, talking about needing information from you. He's been saying for a long time, we've needed the budget, we've needed different things.
And I
You don't-
presented the budget that got turned down, and so now I'm doing it again.
Can we get back on track and move on to number 23?
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Any other questions there? All right. Number 23, City Council agenda is posted meeting, the notice of posted requirements of the sections, Open Meeting Act.
We need to do probably 23 and 24 together.
Okay.
What's being distributed down through there is a copy of the May 23rd, 2024 agenda. And the reason it's significant is because that was a special call meeting, and I think the actions of the city at that time are not void, but they may be voidable. So stay with me on this. Right up at the top where it says agenda for Thursday, May the 23rd, 2024, there's not a time. So nobody knows when the governing body was going to meet that day. It's just there. The other thing, and the mayor graciously furnished me his notes on this, and that's the handwriting you see on this. There was a motion to amend the agenda to add quotes for roofing for City Hall. That's illegal. You can't amend an agenda unless it's an emergency once it's been posted. The Open Meetings Act simply does not permit that at all. And I'm saying this because I sent everybody that's on the City Council here now an email about this about, I don't know, several months ago. I was going to print it out and bring it. And nobody's had any response to it. I just to make sure that everybody's on the same page when these things come up. You've got to post it on your website. You don't have a choice. It's not a suggestion. You've got to post it timely now, and those times have just changed since the 1st of September. You've got to do it. If you don't, you can't have a meeting, or if you do, it can all be set aside if somebody goes to court and says you didn't, it's this critical. If you don't do it correctly, somebody can go to court and say, this is all void. And these little issues will get it voided for you. Okay? So there's those things. No time, an improper amendment to the agenda. And then if you look over there on the last page on the certificate, it was posted May the 21st, 2024. So somebody tell me what's wrong with that.
Is that not 72 hours?
Not 72 hours.
No.
At best, that's 48. So I'm going to suggest to you, I've told the city secretary this, whoever takes that thing up to that board over there or that glass at City Hall, I would like for their name to be on it, that not only the date, but the time they put it out there. So we'll all know. And there's not any more this issue of, is this the real agenda, or is it this agenda, or is this the amended agenda? What is this? We've got to know. We've got to know. Because this is the agenda where the emergency funding for the police department took place. And as much as everybody's talked about this, it wouldn't take anybody 10 minutes to go to district court and say, this should be voided. This conduct should be voided because it's got these kind of effects. I think now we're on board with how to get this done to where it looks and feels and is kind of sort of verifiable. But I'm just letting you know, there's an issue there. And we move on to the next item. And this is, look, the law doesn't say the city has to have their minutes signed. But if you don't have a signed copy of the minutes, how does anybody know those are the minutes? Nobody knows. And I've had this problem for the last 6 months or 8 months, asking for copies of minutes. What I get is something in Word with signatures typed on the bottom of it, and then I get something else that says something different from somebody else. There's no way that I know which of those are the official minutes of this organization. And nobody else can figure it out either. You just don't know. So I'm asking that this be a policy from now on, that the mayor or whoever presides sign the minutes once they're approved. Those be scanned in, and those be the official minutes of this organization. I encourage everybody to keep your own documents, because it's important for you to look back and review. But we can't be shopping around and me asking you, and then you, and then you, what do your personal records say? Because the city records don't make any sense. Can't figure them out. So that's got to be lined out here, just here real quick. And in connection with that, we need to figure out tonight, and I don't have a clean copy of this. I think these are maybe some that Councilperson Allison provided, as far as who took the minutes of that meeting on May the 23rd. Does anybody remember?
I did.
Okay. So these that you have provided, I'm going to show you. Is that those? Somebody, I don't have a clean copy of that, but I would like for the city council to say, yes, these are the minutes of that meeting. And the reason this is important is because you look at our general form and our general template, this doesn't look like it. So somebody else is going to look at this and go, I'm not sure if that's a minute, because it doesn't look like the ones that I've seen for the last 3 years that this body has turned out. And so people go, no, maybe not. So what needs to happen if this, has everybody seen this? You got a copy of this? Well, this is, here, take that one and pass it down. I've got some handwriting on the bottom, but if Councilperson Allison has some of those that's clean, I'm going to ask that the council look at those and decide if those are the minutes of the meeting. Does that say the same thing there? Okay, yeah, okay. It may be in your agenda packet. also graciously furnished me his notes where he worked this up in his handwriting. There's a notation in his notes of the $25,500 for the budget, and also $2,500 for petty cash fund. And I've examined one of those 22 accounts that the city had, and one of them was Bogata Police Department. And soon after this, it was changed to petty cash fund. So there were like thousands of dollars run through the petty cash fund, more than 2,500, which is something that's not on the agenda, but that's something I look into. How did that much money get over here? But I'm saying there's some indications in some of the notes that a $2,500 petty cash fund was considered. I mean, I've seen something. I don't know whether you voted on it or not, but that's what the notes would indicate.
You may not even mention, I'm just curious because I don't know, what went into that account? Or is that going to be talked about?
No, it was initially funded with $2,500, and then, and I'm talking from memory now, there would be random transfers into that account, and I never saw a budget amendment that said do it, but there were just random transfers into that account, and then the spending that took place right after that, it would be spent down, and then be more money put into it, and I never saw any authorization from this governing body to do that. Now, I don't know if what happened was, because the mayor's notes indicate to me that $2,500 or $25,500 was to be put in the line item that has everybody's salary. The budget at that time had one line item, everybody's salary was in there. So that's where that money was going to go. And then there was supposed to be a new line item for the petty cash. If that's what happened, then that petty cash should have topped out at $2,500, and there shouldn't have been any more money put into it unless you guys voted to do it.
And we never did.
We didn't vote for
Okay,
that.
so I know there was more than $2,500 run through that account. I've seen that. Yeah.
So who did that?
I don't know. It's the same question as last time. Who did it? If I knew, I would tell you. I know this person did it. I just don't know. I'm just now reaching the level where I can breathe here. It's now I'm going to figure out who did it if I can. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So on this minutes, you just need us to say, yes, these are accurate.
Yes, those. Let me see the copy you have in. Yeah, I think those are the same ones that I have here, and I just need the council to vote. Those are the minutes for the May 23rd, 2024 meeting, if they are.
All right, I entertain a motion to approve these minutes, I guess is the proper language.
Yes, sir.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept these minutes as correct minutes for the May 23rd, 24 city council meeting.
I'll second.
Motion and second to accept these minutes as the May 23rd date. May 23rd, 2024. Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye. So we have two ayes. We'll do a roll call count. Go. Chris? motion passed. Now, do we have a clean copy somewhere so that we can put date and signature on the bottom? Or do we just sign that?
Why don't you just sign what we have, Mr. Mayor, sign it and date it, and if there's a question, we'll know that we can make a notation in there with it, that this was, it came up and this is somebody else's handwriting. Do you object to your handwriting being on it?
No, if I'm talking about it.
When we have these, when we approve minutes each council meeting, when is the proper time for the person who's presiding to sign those minutes?
When the minutes are completed, I guess.
If there's no objection and everybody says, let's pass the minutes, then the mayor can sign them that night. Just before he leaves, or she, say, hey, sign it and date it, and it's gone. If there are corrections, then as soon as the city secretary gets those corrections done, if they're like we did tonight, we're gonna approve these with the corrections. If those corrections are done, go in and sign it and say, that's it. And then she scans them in, and that's the record for the city.
Do we need that document in the minutes tonight?
There's not really a deal for us to work on policy tonight. I have a memo started about some policy, but it would be nice if the mayor signed those, so we wouldn't have to do this again. And then we can just have an understanding until we have a policy meeting, that sure helps us follow the breadcrumbs.
Do we have another copy? I mean, I've written some things on mine here, so.
Because I've got the original.
Is that right?
Yes, that is today's date, yes, sir.
And then the minutes that were approved earlier tonight, I'll need to sign those before we get out of here.
No, because I have to crush it.
Okay, all right.
Everything from all the board meetings have been signed, except for, had you signed tonight, didn't I? The ones from the crime control? So we're all up to date on everything being signed, and as soon as I get those corrected in the morning, you can sign them when you come in the office.
All right, that's items 43 and 24 on our agenda. All right, we've reached the final agenda item. We have a discussion with Johnny Jarvis, young man that's a police officer, or has been a police officer. He has a proposal he would like to speak to us about. Yes, go on.
Okay, so y'all don't have a chief. Y'all haven't had a chief, and the last chief y'all put before. Pretty straightforward, right? We'll be frank. I didn't apply for the chief position the last time. I didn't really want to be chief, to be honest. I didn't want to be chief of a department where everybody got run off, and obviously nobody wanted to work. So, but there has to be a chief. I've heard people say that if we don't find a police chief, then they will, demise the department or close it down or give it over to the county. I don't know if that's true. I've seen it happen. I've never seen it forcibly happen, but it has happened before. And working for a county, deputies are busy, response times are long. Unfortunate part of living in a county, over 1,000 square miles. So a police force in the city is a priority. At least one or two people cruising around, sometimes at night, sometimes during the day. Presence. When I was a supervisor, officer presence it was the biggest deterrent. You go out there and turn on the lights, have a traffic stop here and there, it puts everybody else back in their houses. All right. But if there's no presence, then people can just do whatever they want. And I own property outside of town. I'm about to own property in town for a little while, I would like a police presence. And if we cannot afford one or find one, I would propose to step up and fill that role in the interim until funds are available and other qualified candidates can be found. I consider myself qualified for the position. Almost 10 years in law enforcement, advanced licensure, SWAT, alert, active shooter courses, firearms training, civilian response. I could go on. I've got a pretty good record in my opinion. I'm offering to do it for probably half the price on an interim position, $25,000 a year. If you find somebody cheaper, definitely hire them. I'm not in a strain for funds, so if we need to offset that by a couple months, if you can find money to pay me, we can do that. If we want to offset my first paycheck for 2-3 months. My game plan was to come to this town and work for whoever the chief was going to be, reserved, for free. I'm a night owl, I like to get out at night, and like I said, presence, police on the street. So, I can stay longer if I don't do a terrible job. I can stay longer if y'all want to hire me on, we can discuss that. But in the meantime, somebody has to sit in the chair, or there is no police department. You want to talk about the cars, and the money, and the equipment, and the budget, but nobody can go inside the building. There could be brand new items in there. We don't need anything for the next 3-4 years other than make car payments, put gas in the cars. And honestly, that Chevy truck we were talking about, the cheap truck, probably more fuel efficient than my truck. I'll just put gas in it myself. I don't mind. If I'm gonna be driving around, if I'm living in town, if I take it home, if I take it to calls, I'll just fill it with gas myself. It's not a big deal. Training in my proposal. New chief courses are free, but any additional training I need to take, I can cover that. I need to have my licensure secured by a department so I can continue to go to training. So if I need to do that in a chief role, I will. I need to do it in a reserve officer role, I will. But somebody has to be in the building. Somebody has to sit in the chair. We talk about in here for hours, where's the money in? Where are the receipts? Where's the money spent? But nobody's in the building. There could be, hopefully, there could be receipts stacked to the ceiling inside the police department, the chief's office, or in a filing cabinet somewhere. Hopefully. Don't know that for sure, but we won't know until somebody goes in there and goes through expenditures. Budgets, things we need, Can we find reserve officers? Can we have, can we afford to hire an officer to, especially, with me taking a reduced salary? I won't know. But I'm offering my services to the city to sit in the chair in an interim role, or if you don't want to use the word interim, you can hire me as a chief, and I'll just be the chief until you decide you don't want me to be chief anymore. And we just kind of go from there. Because if the department demises, it's just gone. I don't know what it takes to start a police department from zero, but it's probably more than it would be just to put somebody in the chair. My records, my eco record's pretty clean. 10 years I've got to write up here or there for one thing or another, but I'll probably pass any background checks. I'm qualified to serve in the role. If the city wanted me to serve in the role, I don't know if y'all want to motion that, if y'all want to come back and talk about it later, put it out to y'all, I'm available for the position in the interim if need be. If the city needs services, then I can provide those services. And that's basically what the paper says. You can read it. I wrote more words for y'all to read, but to sum it up. Questions from me?
My biggest concern is, where's the money gonna come from,
The 25,000?
Yeah,
Again.
You can't be the only person on the police department, you're gonna have to have officers. Where
Well,
did that money come from? That's my concern.
When I worked for the county, we had, 3 cities in our jurisdiction that had 0 police presence at night. They were operated solely by chief. Working Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. He wrote enough tickets to pay his car note and to pay the judge, and I'm assuming himself. And then they went home. So, can it be done? The answer is yes. Especially, you won't see me in there 8 to 5. I may make work 12 to 12. If I want to get out on the streets at night and be seen. Or I may come in at 2 o'clock in the morning and not leave till whenever I get tired, But the presence portion of it, you know, having somebody there, plus you can't hire any officers until you get a chief. If somebody walked up right now and said, hey, I want to be a police officer, I'll do it for free, you couldn't hire them, because there's no agency head. Somebody has to fill that role before anything else can be discussed. And chiefs are, on paper, significantly more expensive than police officers. If you don't have $25,000 to pay me, that's something we can discuss. You know, I'm sure we can, $25,000 a year is, I can't do math, what, $2,000 a month?
Yeah. And my concern was, how are you gonna make a living on that, you know?
I'm not worried about that.
Well, I am.
I have other forms of income, that aren't dependent on me, working during the day. So I can, in theory, I could volunteer for the position, just do it for free. However, if I'm gonna be up here, you know, sorting through paperwork, somebody else's mess, I would like to pay a little bit of money. But again, I won't be Monday through Friday 8 to 5. You know, you may see me, you may not. You know, I can be contacted. I prefer some form of city cell phone if available. I know my mother has told me, you know, the city secretary has told me, you know, there have been phone lines and some of them have been turned off. And if I could get one of those, that'd be great. I could be reachable 24 hours a day for any major incidents. But again, any other concerns?
Have you had any interaction with our local law enforcement, such as our sheriff department?
I've had meetings. I've had a meeting with the chief deputy. That was talking about employment, though. As far as speaking to the departments and any other kind of fashion, I have not. But in my proposal, that is one of the things I would seek to do is reach out to the other local law enforcement agencies in the area and try and develop those interagency connections to assist when needed. I think that's very important. The last department I was with was at A&M Sister University. You know, I supervised a handful of people, and we covered 6,000 people, 7,000 people. So, but during our bigger events, things of that nature, we rely heavily on outside agencies to come in and help fill that gap. When we're talking about 50, 60,000 people, you know, in such a confined space, you know, outside relationships are very important. So,
I don't know if we'll ever have that many here.
you never know. You know, you gotta be prepared for the worst, I guess. But yeah, as far as, I haven't spoken with anybody yet. Like I said, outside, I think I had a sit-down meeting with the chief deputy of the sheriff's office. But that was in reference to reserve employment with their agency because I like to keep my license up to date. But I was hoping the last chief was gonna get in here and I was gonna work for him in a reserve position. So when that fell through, I felt obligated to at least offer it. Like I said, if I get in here in 3 months and y'all find a stack of cash and want to hire somebody else, you're more than welcome to. If you tell me no tonight, you're more than welcome to. Or if you tell me no in a week from now, that's fine. 6 months ago go by and you're like, hey, you know, we got this guy, he's got 20 years of experience and he's gonna come in here and we've got the money for him, hey, by all means. Or, you know, if the year runs out and you don't have anybody that wants to do it or you can't find the funds for it, maybe I'll stick around a little longer, you know, see what we can do. Somebody has to do the job, or the department will be turned into a substation for the county, I suppose. I don't know. But nothing's going to happen with the building just sitting there empty and the car collecting dust. Anything else? And I will take my seat.
Thank you, John. All right. Any other questions or information? That being the case, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Motion and a second to adjourn. Any other questions? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Any opposed, say no. And we are adjourned. Thank you very much.
What about the old business, are we not gonna take care of it on the next page?
I'm sorry?
The old business on the next page, are we not gonna take care of it?
Oh, I didn't see that.
You're on the third page.
Okay.
We got another page we gotta finish up.
Well, under item 8, the ordinance is prepared by the city attorney.
Neither.
Okay, was I supposed to prepare one for tonight?
Yes, from the last meeting.
Okay, right. Is it the one that you gave me about the travel trailer business and all that?
Correct. There's actually 3 things there. Ordinance is prepared by the city attorney, approval of the new water service agreement, and check records report she gave us earlier. Unless we have to take each item by itself, we can approve all 3 of those together, I think. Is that correct, Mr. Turner? Requires a motion and a second.
It does.
Can we hold on the motion till let Terry get back? He had an emergency run.
Oh, yeah, I didn't realize they left.
Got the line.
Yeah, we may need, I can understand that.
And these ordinances are one that he sent us on an email.
He wanted to leave, I think he had it in the packet, I think. Thank you.
Ordinance number 402,
Yeah.
city development and ordinance 95 regarding regulated district.
Oh, okay. It's not all of it, it's just an ordinance. I thought we were gonna read all those ordinances.
Oh, no.
We'll do it Tuesdays.
That'll have to, we'll have to read that on another agenda.
What is this ordinance?
Regarding regulating the miscellaneous requirements of manufactured mobile homes and travel trailers and setting an effective date.
What was that again? I'm sorry.
The ordinance is regarding regulating the miscellaneous requirements of manufactured / mobile homes and travel trailers and setting an effective date.
Is that one-page thing there? I saw that. That's not something I wrote. That's an amendment, I think, an existing ordinance. And here, we need to give this some attention. The legislature, this last session, passed a law that a city cannot keep a manufactured home outside of the city limits simply because it's a manufactured home. So I don't know that we have a provision like that in our ordinance. This is about travel trailers and using as residence. And unless the first part of that ordinance defines what a travel trailer is and what permanent residence is, how long you have to live in it and where, we probably need to work on that as well. Because if you, yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
We have trailer parks,
Yeah, I know.
and that's their permitted acres.
And so there's a lot of people, a lot of cities have an exception if you have a section of land that has been platted and developed as a recreational vehicle or a travel trailer park. That's separate than somebody coming up and parking one in your front yard or out on the street and hooking a hose up to it and living in it for 3 or 4 weeks. So that's kind of sort of what these ordinances are about, is to keep people from just setting up a travel trailer and living in. Some cities have problems with people setting those up and say, I'm going to work here while I'm building my house. And about 50% of the time that goes south too. So we need to look at that and figure out if there needs to be a tune-up on it. That's my suggestion.
So you're wanting to amend the one that's written here, the 1206?
No, this is an amendment. What I want to do is look at what it amends to make sure it's something the city likes, that we can enforce. It's got some, if we need to do it, then we can file something in city court, or we have a summons issued or something on it. because I didn't look up the rest of ordinance 0905, so I'll look that up. If I can't find it, I'll contact either the mayor or the city secretary and say, give me that, so I can look at it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think there's another one besides this one that goes. I think.
Maybe in that new code thing.
Yeah, I think so, but it's probably maybe a copy of the old one, but,
Okay.
yeah. So, do you still need a motion to approve the old business? Or, I'm sorry, the ordinance? Do you still need an action on that?
Not that one. What I prefer you do is say, hey, come back next time and tell us what we need to do, and if we need to approve that, that's fine. So I'll have time to look the old one up.
So we just need to table.
Yes, sir.
I entertain a motion to table this ordinance amendment.
I make a motion to table ordinance 106.
I'll second.
Motion and second to table. Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. And I believe that completes the business. Do we need another motion to adjourn?
Hey, I got a question real quick before we get out of here. So, just so everybody's aware, Tim Martin is officially off the table. We made that known today.
Can you talk in your thing?
Tim Martin has officially shut the possibility of coming here down today, so I've asked
He
him,
withdrew his deal as of last meeting.
I don't know, he told me there was reasons he did that, but besides the point, he's not doing it. I'm asking if we can get it put back out there. And I mean, I'm not against at least interviewing Mr. Jarvis. But I'm asking if we can get it put out there back on Facebook tomorrow.
I think we need to get together and find out what we can pay before we waste time.
Well, we can at least set up where people are filling out applications. And then we can have a called meeting where we can discuss what we're gonna pay the chief.
Is there any of the old application y'all want to look at? Or maybe one or two that you didn't actually look at, so I'm not sure.
But I would say we at least need to do a sit-down interview with Mr. Jarvis.
Agree.
After Chase gets back, where you can be a part.
Yep.
When's he gonna be back?
Wednesday, I believe. They compete tomorrow, and then I think Kim and Debbie are playing on either tomorrow night or Wednesday morning, who knows?
My city secretary is there urging the band on us.
All right.
One other thing, and please look at the check register report as part of the oversight. Tomorrow night or some night when the Cowboys aren't playing, and or even when they're playing, maybe it'd be a better time to do it. Look at that stuff because it's the finances of the city, and look at it and see if there's places you need to ask her questions, okay? Because it's important that the money will allow her to take care of it for you, okay?
And I did put a thing in there out of QuickBooks of all the checks that had been spent or had been written and out of what accounts they had came. So if you have any questions on it, just let me know. And then I also provided the bank statements also this evening. But I wanted you to have that out of QuickBooks so you could at least see what had been spent in the last month.
Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you.
All right, do we need a motion then to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and second to adjourn. Any questions? All in favor say aye. Any opposed say no. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.
I'll make a motion.
is, okay, well, last city council meeting, I went to the bathroom and listened to
Are you gonna put the speakers and stuff up tonight, since they're gonna come here to vote?
We need to put them over there, I mean.
and I didn't do it, but I also said that I was actually recording for the fire department, and they, you know, were the ones that I was recording. I understand. And, well, like I said, I was recording the fire department.
They're gonna be here like at 6:30.
Oh, okay, you did.
Well, no, if you have, do you realize that they don't have that for the
When you were there, how can you meet me?
Everybody done?
to the ladies' room. I know we did, and I appreciate that, but I don't appreciate the way that y'all are coming at me either. I disagree that you came in the kitchen, and I disagree that Joe came at me afterwards, and I'm just saying, I'm not gonna be intimidated by the mayor's family. That's all I'm saying. Oh, look at that, it was still recording.
Well, good, you'll have that one.